So what is a lead? So just so we're on the same page, sometimes people say a lead is like a name that you buy from a list company. For me, a lead is anyone who sees your ad anywhere and has some slight interest, whether you know about them or not. I'm showing a billboard here. I'm not a big proponent of billboards because you can't track whether or not the person found you on this billboard. I mean, the amount of times we've asked people, how did you hear about us? And they say Google, and they've been receiving a postcard for 10 years from us before they ever responded I can't tell you how many times. So that's what a lead is, someone who's interested. And let's just get into direct mail because I know you guys want to hear about this strategy. So I'm going to give you some direct mail stats to think with. 41% of Americans of all ages look forward to checking their mail every day. That's from a Gallup poll. I'm not one of those people. I'm in the 59%. 58% of the mail American households receive is marketing mail. Now, if you're looking at response rates, so a house list is your customer list. We refer to a house list as a customer list, not a prospect list of people who reached in, but your actual customers. And if you look at a house list, and these stats are a little bit on the old side, but it's actually interesting, even more interesting now, like the house list in 2017 got, this much response rate, and then in 2018 it went quite up. And we're seeing a surge in that again, and also on the prospect side too, an increase. And we're seeing a surge in that again now, mainly because people are printing and mailing less. Now, my company's stats are up, but I have another company that services printing companies with coordinated online ads, and printers are nervous. They're nervous. They need to add products and services that people want. And I can tell you that now, because the mailboxes are a little bit less full, you have a bigger opportunity to stand out in that mailbox and get a better response. Regarding what types of mail pieces work best, postcards work the best, three-dimensional mailers come in second, catalogs come in third, and letters come in fourth. 59% of US respondents say that they enjoy getting mail from brands about new products. I hate spam. I mean, I have a folder where all my spam goes, and then if I don't go through it and delete from it, it's like there's thousands in there in like a week and a half. But sometimes I do learn about a product or a service from an email that I wouldn't know about. Unfortunately for email, any busy person is going to do what I do and start at the top in the morning and just highlight the entire list and just hit the delete button. Whereas with direct mail, you look at your mail when you take it from the mailbox. You decide at that moment, am I going to throw this piece away or am I going to look at it later? The amount of attention units that you put on your mail are so much greater than what you put on your email. Why? Because email is interrupting you. You're doing something and email is interrupting you, whereas direct mail, you're pulling it out of your mailbox when you feel like pulling it out of your mailbox. You're looking at it when you have a moment to look at it. So the response rates and the ROI are much better with direct mail than with other forms of marketing that are online because of that interruption factor. 73% of American consumers say that they prefer being contacted by brands via direct mail because they can read it whenever they want. Now, I've been touting this forever, and so I was so happy that Epsilon agreed with me. Up to 90% of direct mail gets opened. 20 to 30% of emails are opened. 75% of direct mail recipients can recall a brand after seeing an ad, whereas only 44% of digital ad viewers say that they can recall a brand after seeing an ad. And of course, the response rate comparison between direct mail and email is ridiculous. And this is just a story about Nordstrom. Do we have any Nordstrom shoppers? I'm a Nordstrom shopper for sure, love my notes. But what happened is when the son took over from the dad, he decided, and this was in the first quarter of 2019, that he was not going to send mail. He was just going to email everybody's notes to them. Now, I still get my notes emailed to me, but I also get my notes mailed to me now. They fell short by $144 million of their projections when they cut the mail. So they put the mail back in, and lo and behold, I get my notes both ways. Now, when I get an email of my notes, yes, I can go online and shop, but they make more money in the store than they do online from a visit. So they want people to go to the store. So if I take my notes that came in the mail and I stick them in my purse, I think to myself, I'm going to Nordstrom on Saturday, or I'm going to go, I want this, that, or the other thing. So you just kind of have to think it through, like how a consumer thinks, and you can look at your own operating basis and then sort of correlate that to your own marketing and how your customer base or prospect base would respond. Here's a bunch of brands that were literally born online that have turned to the mail. Casper, Instacart, Green Chef, Wink, Away, all of these were born online and they all use direct mail. These are posts from their Twitters showing their direct mail pieces. And Caraway, I think this was mine. This came to me and I was just like, really? The internet's favorite kitchenware? That's what it says. It says the internet's favorite kitchenware, and they sent me a postcard. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mailing lists. So first I want you to get the idea of all the people in your service area. All the people. Anyone in your service area and I'm literally giving you an exercise to do right now. I want you to think about all the people in the area that you service. Do we have any national companies? Do we have any regional companies? Just a region? How about just a city where you are locally? Okay, good. So just get the idea of all the people that would be in your target market that are in your service area. Or just all the people. Forget the people in your target market. Just think about all the people. There's a lot of damn people, right? There's no scarcity of people that need what you have. So now, if you think about out of all those people, who are the people in your target market? It could be anything. Men with incomes of 60,000 plus, single or married, with or without children. And then specifically, you want to think about the people that are not in your target market. Do you all know who your target market is? Okay, good. So think about who's not your target market. Babies, I don't know, like who's not your target market. Now, if you mail to people, there are people, let's say you get a list, and that list has all the demographics of who you want to mail to. There are people in your target market that need what you have, that need you right now. But there's a lot of people in your target market that don't need you right now. They may need you in a month from now. So think about the people who need you right now and think about the people who are going to need you in the future. They exist. They're there. When they need what you have, are you going to be the one that's in front of them? Are you going to be the one when they pull the trigger on making that purchase? This goes back to consistency. But it's really important to isolate who your target market is in your service area, have those identities at your disposal so that you can mail to them when you want to mail to them. You can email them when you want to email them. I don't like email that's not an opt-in list personally. Email just to tell you why I feel that way. I don't like personally when somebody emails me and they got my email address from somewhere because I didn't opt into anything. My initial reaction is, I don't like you. You just spammed me. So what are you trying to do as a marketer? You're trying to get people to trust you and like your brand and use you, and you're warming them up over time. So if the first time you hit them is with an email where they're annoyed, now your job is way harder. Mailing lists. So there's all different kinds of mailing lists. Who here sells to individual people as opposed to businesses? Good. And the rest of you sell to businesses? Okay, cool. So consumer lists are lists of individual people with their home address, and you can usually find out all kinds of things about them. I think I have a list coming up. A business list is by SIC code. Do you know what SIC code is? Standard Industry Classification Code. Every single business has an SIC code, so if you sell to businesses, you are going to want to know what the SIC code is for those businesses. And then, of course, there's opt-in lists. I don't really like opt-in lists because I don't really feel like people know that they opted in, and also because usually they'll only let you use the list one time, and there's nothing good is going to happen from hitting a list one time. Subscriber lists can be really, really great if you're in a very niche industry. You sell coins, and you can get a list of people who subscribe to a coin magazine, or if you sell hunting gear, and you can get a list of people who subscribe to a hunting magazine. Those can be very effective, very expensive. They do also make you pay for each usage. And a house list, of course, is your own database, and you can divide it up into your customers and people who've reached for your product or service but haven't pulled the trigger yet, and market differently to those two segments. So just some of the common criteria for consumer lists: age, income, gender, renter or homeowner, presence of children, home value, age of the home. You can get specialized criteria You'll pay a little more for it, but it's worth it. You know, affluent investors, apartment seekers, boat and yacht owners, cat and dog owners. You can get birthdays. You can really find out most anything about consumers. When it comes to business lists, you can get when the business was established. Like, for instance, we sell a lot to dentists, but a dentist who's been in practice for 25 years is not my customer. It's a dentist who's been in practice for 3 or 4 years. He thinks it's going to go great with word of mouth, and then he realizes he needs to market. But the guy who's been in business 25 years, he's ready to retire, so he's not necessarily looking to grow. There's also saturation lists. Does anybody have a business where every single household would be your target market? So, but that's when you would use a saturation list. Or a dentist can use a saturation list because everybody has teeth. And as long as they take insurance, a saturation list is going to be the least expensive list. And businesses you can target by SIC code, location, employee size, annual revenue. Anybody here in the home services industry? Anybody sell to people who just moved into a house? New movers is phenomenal. And we have an amazing product for new movers because we can hit new movers daily, like as soon as that address is available, and mail on the fly, 2 cards a day, 4 cards a day, whatever it is, so that you're hitting people before your competitors. So I'm like obsessed with. Okay, so this is just some examples of specialized mailing lists. So this is, they wanted to mail to a cruise traveler with an income of 100,000 plus, living in and around Los Angeles, heavy business traveler. This is Briggs & Riley, suitcase, luggage. Here's one for mortgage. The list specs were owner-occupied single-family homes, ages 35 to 55, with a home value of 300,000 to 700,000. They wanted the length of residence to be 7+ years. They wanted an interest rate of 4% or more. So if you're in that type of an industry, we can go very granular. Same if you're in insurance, very, very granular. Closest address is presence of children, ages 2 to 17. You can do it that way. You can do that for new movers, or you can do that for people who've lived there. Yeah, like if you're hitting a certain age group for your schools. Have you ever used us?
No, so what's funny is a year ago we had an event like this, and I was like, guys, we are going to do snail mail this year, we're getting back into this. We had a few companies we were looking into, and my question for you is, the guy said to me, unless you're going to test with $200,000, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So I'm excited to hear what.
Yes, no, I can show you so many dance schools that we blew up, like so many. I mean, they're like, schools are like a great industry for us. Anything with tuition, anything with ongoing costs to the user. So
we have a lot of people in here that have been excited about it, and we haven't been able to find a good vendor. So we found you. I was very.
I'm excited because I'm very passionate about helping small business owners, and I'm very passionate about how good my company is too, and how we take care of our people, and it's like important to me. So anyway, $200,000. He just fed you some false information. Yeah, that's a big fat lie. That's a big fat lie. We like to say that a good test is 10,000 to 20,000 pieces over, the course of a couple of months to see what happens. But I don't need to test for a dance studio because we've done so many dance studios. I could show you every campaign that we did, and you can just say, oh, that would work for me or whatever. Yes?
How do your mailings perform on the other side of things for staffing? Like if I wanted to hire 50 employees right now.
What's your industry?
So I speak to child care centers and teachers.
Okay.
And so I have a substitute teacher placement company. And
oh, good.
I place subs in the early childhood area.
Okay.
And would love to speak just to those educators.
Yes, as long as they have a certification and you can pull it from the county, then we can get that data for you. And then, you could easily just talk to who you need to talk to. Yeah, just more on list specs. You can get licensed real estate agents and brokers in a specific place for real estate photography. Let's see. Oh, this is a really interesting case study on a house list because you're losing the most money from your house list. You're leaving the most money on the table, I should say, because you really have to stay in front of your customers. Like, you know they're going to buy. You know they already like you. They've already worked with you. And you really need to get like a regular, consistent mailing out to your customer list. It doesn't have to be, when we talk about when to mail, it depends on your industry. So on a customer list, you don't need to hit them rapidly next to each other, whereas for like landscaping, you would, because that's a very spontaneous decision. Landscaping, you want to hit everyone and collect up those leads and get in there and mow the lawn. It's not a long-term decision. But on certain industries, it takes longer to decide if they're going to purchase, and you want to kind of stretch out your mail. With a house list, they already like you. Just stay in front of them once a month. You know, you don't have to be in front of them as often. But this particular one, they mailed 6,410 pieces of small card, which if you're in any kind of a industry that's very competitive, you want to be like front and center in the mailbox. And they provided a list of their past patients, and they received 825 calls and 497 unique calls of referrals from doctors for patients to get these shoes. And each pair of shoes costs them is $245, or I guess they're some kind of special diabetic shoes. And they generated $120,000 off of a customer list. It's like they probably hadn't mailed to their customers in, you know, God knows how long. Mailing list questions. Now, we've spent years figuring out where we're going to get our data from, because mailing lists, there's a lot of shysters out there, so you have to, they just are. I mean, you know, so how often is the list provider's database updated? It should be updated continuously. The answer is continuously. If you ask that question, how often is your data updated, and just, you know, go silent and see what they answer, it should be continuously. Is deliverability guaranteed? Most list companies, or good ethical list companies, will guarantee at least 90% deliverability. That means that anything that comes back over 10%, they should refund you and whoever you're working with. Like if you bought a list from me and you got 15% returns, 5% of those we would refund the postage, the mail piece, the whole thing, the list cost and everything, because 10%, I would say ours is around 95% for the most part, because even if the data is updated instantly, nobody stays in the same house anymore. You don't actually buy a mailing list, you rent it for a year. So if you're buying a list from someone, you want to say, how many times can I mail to this? Because if they quote you a price and it's a really low price, they're probably only wanting you to mail to it one time, and they're quoting you a price to get your business. And then if you go, well, no, I want to mail to it again, they'll charge you again. If you just take it, they usually what they'll do is they'll seed the list so they can see if you're mailing to it more than once, and then they'll bill you for that. So you want to ask the question, can I reuse the list? And then pay whatever the unlimited use for a year price is. It's usually not much more than the one-time usage price.